It's my honor to welcome Dr. Zelenko, and I want to say that many of us, your friends and supporters, pray for your health. Please update us. How are you?
Hi, Rabbi Katzen. I'm feeling better, thank God. My voice is still a little weak, but I'm recovering from my 2 surgeries. I'm not in any pain, thank God. It's still difficult to walk, and I get very short of breath, but that's normal. And I'm starting radiation. I was supposed to start this week, but it got postponed till next week. And probably the week after that, I'm starting chemotherapy. And the reason why there's a delay, one of the medications for the chemotherapy is actually not approved for sarcoma. It's approved for metastatic lung cancer. But because of the unique genetic profile of my problem, it looks like this medication would work. But the problem is insurance won't pay for it. And the medication, it's $700 a day. So we're looking at $20,000 a month for 4 or 5 months, $100,000. But fortunately, we hope that there's a program you apply with the company. In this particular case, it's AstraZeneca, and it's called Compassion Care for people whose insurance doesn't pay for it, and they give it to you for free. So, but it takes a few weeks.
And please also update us about your fight for lives of other people, the COVID-19.
So, the fight is in many levels. On the social media level, getting directly to the people in different countries and all around the world, it's having a very big impact. I see that. I recently just put out a concise algorithm of how to treat COVID-19 in an outpatient setting. It's more geared to doctors, but it's very clear and gives clear instructions of the approach that should be taken. And it's been downloaded many, many times. But so on that level, it's very good. I'm doing interviews. Today I did an interview with one of the top investigative journalists from Romania, of all places. And then on Tuesday, doing an interview with Australia. So I'm getting out there in the media now more and more. The problem is the government of this country is not protecting the interests of its people. For example, today it came out that the FDA denied the EUA, emergency use authorization request, the hydroxychloroquine be used by the Henry Ford Clinic. The Henry Ford Clinic was the one that published a study from Detroit around a month ago that showed a 50% reduction in mortality with the use of hydroxychloroquine. So they immediately applied for emergency use authorization. And it's not surprising, of course, that it was declined. Yeah, so it's not surprising that the FDA gives preferential treatment to their benefactors. It's a very terrible and corrupt system. Also, there was a very promising study that the journals are refusing to publish because it doesn't fit their narrative of pro-big pharma, anti-early intervention. And so I'll post the study later, but there's this doctor, world-class, renowned researcher, who has published hundreds of articles in the best journals, and they're not even considering his paper because it doesn't fit their narrative. So what you see here is that the peer review process is some magazines and some medical researchers have also done the same thing as what the FDA is doing, which is basically they're getting money from the big pharmaceutical industry, and then they give preferential press to products of this industry. And if there is an article that is contrary to their interest, they won't publish it, even if it's true. And the other way, they'll publish anything for the big pharmaceutical industry, even if it's not true, like we saw by the Lancet article that had to be retracted for fraud. So this is a very sad state of affairs. And I think that because the enemies of humanity, these parasites, are so powerful and so well entrenched in government, I don't see how we can overcome them naturally, except if there is very strong activism. If there's organizational structure and someone rises to the occasion and we develop a national grassroots movement to make so much noise, we should be protesting the White House, Congress, CDC, NIH, FDA. It's really at this point our failure to organize a movement that's allowing for this travesty of justice and human decency, and people are being sacrificed on the altar of money and politics. And it's up to us right now. If anyone knows how to do this, how to organize a grassroots movement, maybe like the Tea Party did, but seriously, I mean, we're losing. Yesterday, 1,600 Americans died from COVID, just yesterday. So just at that rate itself, you're looking at another 500,000 dead people in the next year, if that rate continues. Yeah, probably over 90% of those deaths could and should be prevented. And what's interesting is that in stage 1 pre-hospital COVID, there is 0 therapeutics available. In other words, there's nothing that's been approved, there's nothing been sanctioned, and everyone is still being told the same malignant lies that we were told 4 or 5 months ago, which is go home, and when you get trouble breathing, go to the hospital. And in the hospital, we'll give you the remdesivir and convalescent plasma and IL-6 inhibitors, steroids, all these maybe advanced treatments, which you only become a candidate to receive when you get moderately sick. It's disgusting.
But I'm really stunned to hear that today FDA rejected a respected hospital if they published the study. Is it because the study was retrospective and did not fit the golden standard? But still, you have a hospital reporting 50% mortality rate cut. How could they reject that?
You know, there's a saying, the perfect is the enemy of the good. What that means is the gold standard in this particular case is killing a lot of people. And by the way, there's no medication that's ever gotten approved being held to the gold standard. That is a theoretical construct, and no one's ever held to that standard except hydroxychloroquine in the context of COVID-19. If you look at the FDA's internal documents themselves, which set the guidelines, what they say is there's a few criteria. One is there should be no other therapeutics available. Then it would make sense to circumvent the 10-year process to get a drug approved and give other therapeutics a chance to have a clinical impact. And how efficacious, how good, according to the FDA, must it work in order to get an emergency use authorization? So if you listen to Dr. Fauci, it would need to be a double-blind, randomized, controlled study, and so on, right? But that's absolutely not true. The internal documents of the FDA use the expression may be effective. May be effective, it's quite a subjective term. But I would say, like my data, which shows, be it retrospective, so what? But it's real world evidence, right? It's real world evidence. I'm actually happen to be, I would say, the world expert in treating COVID in the outpatient setting, simply because of the volume of patients that I was, God chose me to see. And so you would think the person that was on the front lines who dealt with COVID successfully in thousands of patients, published data which showed 84% reduction in hospitalization. And in reality, that data, my study shows that it may be curative, that it would qualify for emergency use. And yet, you see the FDA is still playing games. And I have contempt and disdain for these people because they're literally sacrificing the most vulnerable people among us for money.
Dr. Zelenko, I want to thank you. I want to send you my blessings and prayers of full and complete recovery to you. All the best to your family and wishing you luck in continuing your fight until complete victory. And we hope that all the obstacles and all the darkness will fade away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rabbi.